Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Fox98 here. Welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. As you can see by the title of the video, I'm going to be exploring how you would be able to get classic tracks into future Formula 1 games. Now, back in F1 2013, we had classic tracks for the very first time in the Formula 1 game series, and the tracks that I can remember off the top of my head was Jerez. There was probably more in there, I just can't remember them. But that is obviously its key example. Now, ever since F1 2013, we've not seen classic tracks return to the F1 game series. And the biggest question is, well, why haven't they returned to the F1 game series? Now, obviously, the only team that is going to know why they're not in the series is Codemasters. They have obviously understood why they can't put them in, or maybe there's just various reasons, such as licensing, or maybe just down to resources. At the end of the day, despite Codemasters being a AAA developer, they're still going to be quite shy on resources. And when you're releasing a game annually, such as Codemasters are, it's not that simple to go ahead and introduce another 20-30 circuits into a game, especially when you've got to work to tight deadlines. But taking those aside, I've decided to go ahead and see how I'd go ahead and implement them into the game. Now, someone that is a game designer myself, I've always got a bunch of different ideas that I use in order to create my games and to make them more, to improve them and to make them more fun. So I thought, well, why don't I create this type of series where my ideas that I keep having for my games, I'll express them for different games. And rather than criticizing a games company, this is the biggest thing, rather than criticizing a company and saying how their game is terrible and it needs this, this, and this, it's all about constructive feedback. So for this video, I'm not going to say that the game is bad. What I'm going to be stating is how I would go ahead and simply add this feature in. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that the feature is going to get added. It's just something that I think would be better off for the game company itself. So without further ado, I've come up with 3 different ways that I think classic tracks could make its return into future Formula 1 games. So for now, let's have a look and see what I've come up with. Alright, so as you can see on your screens right now, the first way that I think that the F1 classic tracks could be implemented into future Formula 1 games is by using the item shop. Now, this is a little bit of a controversial one, and it's probably the most controversial out of the 3 that I've gone ahead and selected. Now, in F1 2020, Codemasters have gone ahead and introduced their own Podium Pass with an item shop. Now, I would have gone ahead and actually recorded my own footage of the item shop, however, I haven't realised that the series is ending in 4 days, and they've decided to just shut off the item shop. So, I've just had to go onto Google and find some random person's screenshot of the item shop. So this is what I've got. So I've just got rid of their name, so we don't know who we stole it from, but it doesn't matter. But as you can see then, over on the weekly item section, now this doesn't necessarily have to be a weekly item, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a daily item. It could actually be involved in the store as well, but we'll get onto that in a second. Now, they could go ahead and make this a weekly item. It's not completely out of the question. The biggest issue with putting it as a weekly item is if you're not available to play the game for a week, you're going to miss out on a classic circuit. And that's not what people want. It would probably cause too much backlash to do it this way with the weekly item. However, it is still a potential option. So arrowed on the left of the screen is where the circuit would actually be placed. I've gone ahead and picked the Korean Grand Prix circuit, and obviously it doesn't cover up the whole picture there, but you know, it covers up the majority of it, and it would have obviously the F1 textures around it as well. This is obviously just a really rough mock-up of everything, but that's what it would look like. It's like a weekly item shop there, and it would cost however many pit lane points that you want to use it as. This is the second thing now that where it gets a bit controversial, and I can see people getting a little bit upset about it. You'd have to pay for the circuit. Even when I opted for going into the store, so whether it's the item shop or the store, it still would require you to have to pay for it. But the key thing is here is how much you'd have to pay for it. If you had to pay something like 2,500 racing points, I can't remember what they're called, you probably get very, very upset. At the end of the day, though, for me as an actual person that plays this game all the time, would I be upset if I had to pay a $5 to unlock myself a brand new race circuit? No, because for me, that's what my money is going to be worth something. I'm going to have a brand new race circuit. I could do loads of cool races. I could do loads of cool time trials, get the best setup, and basically learn the circuit again. It makes it fun that way, in my opinion. But it's obviously about how much it's going to cost. So in the item shop, if you're just going to be purchasing the circuit, that's where I feel like the price needs to come down. However, I couldn't get a screenshot of the store, but if you went into the store and clicked on, let's say, the Korean Classic Pack, in there you'd have the Korean Grand Prix circuit, a couple of, a helmet, a suit, an emote or something like that that represents Korea, if that makes sense, or represents South Korea and a little bit more themed around there. Then you could probably say, you know, for £8 or £8, you can get the Korean Grand Prix circuit, a helmet that looks Korean, a suit, and you maybe I don't know how they would do that, but oh, sorry, gloves. It's on my screen right there. Some gloves, you know, something like that. To me, then, that would make more sense in terms of money worth. Because would you be upset that you have to pay £8 to get a brand new race circuit and a bunch of cosmetics that aspire around that circuit? Honestly, no. I actually think that a lot of consumers would be frustrated that a race circuit is behind a paywall. But from the end of the day, you know, when it came to previous F1 games, if you didn't pre-order the classic F1 cars, such the classic edition of the game, or like the deluxe edition, you wouldn't be able to get, I think it was one of the Ferraris and it was the Braun and the Williams that you weren't able to get. I think that was F1 2019. You weren't able to get those two classic cars unless you specifically bought them. So technically, those two cars are locked behind a pay barrier because you didn't pre-order the game. So where would be the harm then in going ahead and putting a racetrack behind a pay barrier? At the end of the day, as long as the price is fair, no one would really have that many complaints. It would bring in revenue for Codemasters. And unfortunately, as much as we need to focus on player satisfaction, we have to focus on Codemasters as a company. Codemasters are a game company. The only way that Codemasters can stay afloat is with money. And the only way that they can earn money is sometimes you've just got to do these specific things. Put stuff behind a paywall which makes people want to buy it. No matter what, if you think it's wrong that a circuit is being put behind a paywall, think of it from the company's perspective. £5, let's say 10 people paid, you know, £5, that's 50 quid, you know, I think, if my maths is correct. 500 people, £500. No matter which way you put it, post-content stuff, such as these item shops and podium passes and the stores, generate the most amount of money for a game company. So the only way that they can take advantage of this is by making sure that they actually put this behind the paywall. It kind of sucks in a way, but it's not too controversial once you actually start thinking about it. If they did it this way, it means that more people are going to buy the circuit, because they want to race around it. Therefore, they get the money, and the players, when they're purchasing something, crucially, will be happy because it's a circuit and it's something brand new for them to try in the game. This increases longevity. The next way that I've gone ahead and started to try and think of a way to add in a classic circuit is by adopting the Podium Pass feature. In F1 2020, the Podium Pass is a brand new thing, which is actually really, really cool. You'll be able to get yourself brand new liveries, brand new emotes, helmets, gloves, the lot. But why not add classic circuits into the Podium Pass? Now here's where I'm being a little bit light with things. I've gone ahead and put the classic track in the Podium Pass free section, meaning you would not need to purchase VIP in order to get to the new circuit. For me, that just feels a little bit wrong. So why put it in the Podium Pass, and where would you put it? For this, I've gone ahead and put it in tier number 1. So all you've got to do is tier up once, boom, the circuit is unlocked, and you can go ahead and play it. Now, for all I know, you could go ahead and put the circuit in tier number 15, and those that like playing the game can unlock the circuit. The only reason I put it in tier number 1 is you kind of want people to be playing it as quick as possible. So by putting it in the very first tier, all you've got to do is complete a race or two, and then you can unlock the circuit and give it a crack. I think this is a beautiful way to add two things to the Formula 1 game. First of all, longevity. Second of all, replayability. And thirdly, you can then theme the Podium Pass around the circuit. So here I've gone ahead and picked the Valencia Street Circuit, which was used as the European Grand Prix from 2008 to 2012, as far as I can remember. I don't think it was in 2013, but I could be wrong. If it was, then whoops. Anyway, it was used as the European Grand Prix. So let's say that the Valencia Grand Prix Street Circuit is tier number 1 to unlock. The rest of the tiers then in the VIP section from tier 1 to say tier 5 could be themed around the Valencia Street Circuit, such as a Spanish looking glove, Spanish looking car livery, a Spanish looking suit, all of that stuff. There's plenty of ways that you could then make themes around this in a very formidable way. It just feels right. Everyone has the opportunity to unlock the street circuit. Nobody has to pay for that. If you want the little extras though, such as what I've just said, the liveries, the gloves and the suits and everything, You can do that. It's absolutely fine. You can go ahead and purchase VIP and get all of that. Maybe then for, I don't know, the free section, you might get the helmet as well. For example, let's just say you can get the helmet, but the rest of it you have to purchase VIP for. That way, everyone gets the street circuit, everybody gets one cosmetic, and then the rest is unlocked for yourself. So where does replayability and come into this, and longevity? Well, if you think about it, let's have a look at some other games that are taking annual cycles. And I'm going to put Call of Duty into this measure. Or even FIFA for that matter, because it's kind of in the same way. We'll go with Call of Duty though, because it's the easiest one to describe here. Call of Duty tends to have around about 4 different seasons throughout its annual game cycle. Now, if you put that into perspective, as soon as Season 1 drops, you go ahead and you get yourself some brand new maps, some brand new guns, and some brand new game modes, and some cosmetics, etc. That's a big DLC event, and it's cool. With the F1 2020 Podium Pass, it's at its very basic. Now, fortunately for all of us, the Podium Pass is only going to get stronger as the future Formula 1 games go on, bearing in mind if they commit to sticking with the Podium Pass. If you think about it, you may have Series 1, which is the Valencian Grand Prix Street Circuit. If Codemasters then drop a trailer for Series 2, and it's the Indian Grand Prix circuit, for an example, can you just think about the hype in there? Knowing that when a new series comes out, you could be getting another track to drive around. And if you think about it, it just allows people to come back onto the game and increase the longevity. Because with the Podium Pass at the moment, as well as the fact that we're getting new series, which is great, there's nothing in there that makes you want to keep playing the game. All you're going to get is a couple of different liveries and helmets and stuff. There's nothing that makes me want to come back and play it. I never get that feeling of, I'm definitely coming back to this game because there's a brand new helmet with my logo on it. Okay, I probably would actually go back onto the game if there was a helmet with my logo on it because it would look freaking sexy. But besides that, for everybody else, there's not really a way to come back. But imagine the fact that in this season of Podium Pass, we've got Valencia. Then everyone could be thinking, what track are we going to get next? Boom, next series comes out. It's going to be Turkey. Next series comes out, bang, it's Mugello. That's cool. That's fun and that's inventive. And it's not forcing people to pay to play it to get these circuits. You're basically stating to people, hey, come play our game. Straight away in Tier 1, you got a new circuit. Have some fun. And that circuit, it's not going to keep the longevity going for the entirety of the series, but it will keep you going for quite a few days. A lot of people can make content from this. A lot of people can have races from this. A lot of people can set time trials from this. It can be added into specific custom leagues. And by that time, then, as it starts to die down, you can then start to build up the next series, whereby you've got the next race circuit, and people can get hyped about that. Make some videos prior to the circuit coming out on, say, Assetto Corsa, and then it dropped on F1, bam, you're back into that same cycle again. It's a consistent cycle of wanting to play the game, coming back to it and having something new. For me, I think the Podium Pass is the best way to put classic tracks into the Formula 1 game. But here is the third and final way I would do it. Now, as you can see on your screens, the third and final way I would go ahead and put the classic tracks into the Formula 1 game is quite simple, by adding it as a pre-order edition. As you can see on your screens, I've gone ahead and created cover art for F1 Classic Edition, I've called it. So as you can see here, we have got a picture of the classic circuits in the background. I think we've got the Nürburgring, I think it was Portimao is there, and then Imola is underneath, but Hamilton and Vettel are in the way. So what I've gone ahead is basically cut away the F1 2020 cover art that was there and put my own cover art in. I made one myself. So as you can see, I didn't put everything in there because there was no need, but we've got obviously the Peggy thing in the bottom, Codemasters' logo on the right hand side in the bottom. We've then got Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, with then the F1 Classic Edition being the name there. So in the background on the normal editions, it would literally just be, say, Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel with the F1 2021 or 2023 background, whatever they tend to use, like the red background we saw for F1 2020. But for the classic editions, why not spice up the cover art a little bit and put the classic tracks in the background? I thought it'd be kind of cool that way. But it's kind of a simple one. It's what they did in F1 2013 with the classic cars, I think it was. I don't think they made you pre-order to get the tracks itself. I could be wrong. It was a while ago and I didn't really play F1 2013 that much. However, This is just a brilliant marketing point. Pre-order F1 2021 on Xbox and pre-order the Classic Edition and you get 3 classic tracks. What more could you ask for? The amount of people that would be excited and hyped about this is just unreal. And you'd be able to get your pre-order sales up and your marketing can be specifically focused on these classic tracks. It's a win-win for everybody. You get the chance to pre-order it, and hey, if you decide not to pre-order the Classic Edition, it won't give you the classic tracks. However, you can go ahead and then purchase the classic tracks in the store at a later date if that's something that you want to do. It's a very simple way of doing it, and it just allows for pre-launch hype to really be at an all-time high, knowing that when you pre-order the game, you're going to go into that, not only have the 22 circuits, or 23 circuits actually, that are on the game originally, you're going to be able to go onto the game and have a crack around some good old classic circuits. It's the most simplest or other way of doing it, and it builds that hype before the launch of a game, and I think it's the perfect way of doing it. But anyway, guys, if you have enjoyed today's video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe if you're new here as well. And hey, if anyone from Codemasters does actually end up watching this video, thank you for taking the time to do so, and hopefully you like my idea. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we don't know if this could be implemented. We are the complete unknowns about this. The only people that know whether classic tracks can come back into Formula 1 is Codemasters, and if it did, here are some ideas that hopefully could mean something and inspire you to create your own little twist on what I've said. But for now, guys, I'm out. Take care all. Peace.